Your hosts, Joe Bob.
You're awful.
And AJ Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as always, AJ Applegarth. Well, not always, most of the time. Sorry, I'm calling you out for last week. It's AJ Applegarth. Donning the pink Fantasy Six Pack shirts. Love it, man. Got to represent.
Colors,
right? Love it.
Still doing these days?
Yeah, man. So, what's up? How you going, man?
Yeah.
Get a little closer.
My pink shirt.
How's it going?
Stretch this out. It's going. It's going.
It's going. All right. Sounds
Today,
good.
I'm breathing. So, yeah, I guess it's good.
I mean, yeah, that's all you can ask for, I guess, right? Before we get going into the show here, I want to remind everybody to subscribe and follow us. YouTube, Periscope, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, we're there. We appreciate your support. Right now, we've got the Jags and Dolphins. We're recording a little later than usual, but Jags Dolphins right at the start of the third quarter. Dolphins winning 21-7. Fitzmagic is doing his thing tonight, so it's looking good for them right now. Yeah, AJ. How did week 2 go for you, man? Did you come out unscathed? Because I did not. I had Saquon in one league. Not good. Yeah, our guest is
Am I muted? It sucked. It was terrible.
My question to you was also, did you come out unscathed? No. Nobody did.
No, my home league team, I have the luxury of CMC and Michael Thomas as keepers. Thomas is at least late round.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that, man.
Yeah.
That
so, what was it that Meatloaf used to sing? 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Well, you're wrong, Loaf. You're fucking wrong. All right. That's 2 out of 3 that I need to win games.
Dude, that's pretty brutal, man. I'm sorry about that one. All right, well, it sounds like we need to get the beer of the week soon. So let's jump into our guest here and introduce him. Scott Simpson, founder of Nimble with Numbers. I'm sure you guys have seen him on Twitter. Funny guy. Periscope does lots of broadcasts on there. I have a good time with him. We're in a league with him, Maryland-ish league. I guess I'll call it that. We call it the Crab Cake League, but so we're just trying to weed all the other guys out. No, I was kidding. Scott, how's it going, man?
It's going well, man. I appreciate the invite tonight for you and AJ. I'm honored to join you. I got to come and join your show earlier this year. You said you'd have me back. Thank you for bringing me back. Do we go right to the beer? How do we do this? Does the guest go
Absolutely,
first?
man. Let's just jump right into it. If Jeff's ready to cue the music, let's do it.
Beer.
All right, Scott. So let's. You're the guest. Go ahead and tell us what you are drinking tonight.
All right. So I'm going to start with what I'm drinking now, but this show's an hour or so, so it's not going to it's not going to be fun. So I'm going to give a little breakdown of all three because I'm a man. So I'm drinking all local beers from my area-ish. We talked about our Maryland-ish league. Same with the beer. True Respite makes a lot of great beer. One of their best beers, though, is their new Lager Hosen, and it is their kind of Oktoberfest. It's got a nice little, oompa on the front there with the. I love that. It looks great. I enjoy it. My wife bought a 4-pack for us last weekend, and then I came upstairs after we each had one, and there was none left. And I said, "Did you just drank 3 out of the 4? There was 4." She said, "Yeah." And so I got another 4-pack today, and I said, "You get one." I said, "You get one."
Make up for it.
I'll show you.
Yeah, you get one. So that's the first. Also local. I've had a few of these tonight myself. These are delicious. Jailbreaks Oktoberfest. This is right down the street from Joe and myself here in Moco. Delicious. And then I'm traveling a little bit out of the state, but a local for us here, kind of in the DMV area. I got a Dogfish Pumpkin Ale. And these just go down like water for me. I don't like them too sweet and syrupy, and they do a great job of just keeping it light, not a lot of head. It just goes boom right down. So you'll see me sipping on all of these. But cheers, and thanks for the invite. This is my kind of show.
Absolutely,
I got the Oktoberfest gear going. I love it, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, AJ, what you got?
All right. Well, since I was so inclined to miss last week's show, my apologies to our listeners. But you're welcome, Kevin. Thank you for filling in. I was going to drink this last week and did at some point, but now I'm drinking it again. It is the Stone Ruined Again Triple IPA, 10.8er in a 12-ounce can. Just screams delicious. Headache not happening yet. So
Not happening yet.
Super smooth and delicious. This is one you have to find, like I told you last weekend.
Yeah, I went to a different beer store and it unfortunately was not there. So you may have to buy something and come bring it to me, man. It's not by me for some reason. All right, mine is it's a Virginia beer, brewery that my friend got me onto, Jason Hobel, Aslan Brewer Company. Phenomenal beer. This is bringing extra sexy back. It is a double dry hop, double IPA, 9.8%. So it is it's up there. I mean, I've already had half of it, so good start to the show.
Oh yeah,
we're all waking up with headaches tomorrow.
Yeah, probably.
Base of skull, right?
I'm not going to try to, but we'll see. We'll see.
I think all of our beers need to be taken with a few Tylenol, and
I will. I might be napping tomorrow morning while my son watches a movie.
I might be teaching the future generations of America.
You're at home though. That's allowed.
Excellent.
All right, let's jump into this. So we start the show with new thing this year. If you guys haven't watched, is the advice column. I'm calling it the advice column. So this week, the topic is about none other than how to deal with the major injuries to your squad, especially, your studs. We had a lot of them in week 2. Obviously, everybody knows it by now, no point in rehashing all that. I mean, look, when you lose a Christian McCaffrey, when you lose a Saquon, it's tough. Like, you're never truly going to replace that. You could try to find the hot hand on the waiver wire. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. You can try to trade. And the thing that our producer Jeff brought up was, maybe this is the year with all the 3-week IRs and stuff that's going on. People get hamstring pulls. They're like, you know what? We're just going to throw them on 3-week IR. Like, let's use it, right? Maybe this is the year with all these injuries that are piling up. Because we had no real camp. We had no preseason. We're getting all these soft tissue injuries. That's what's happening. We see it with guys year in, year out that don't go to camp, right? They sit out. And then they get injured in week 1 because guess what? Their body's not conditioned. These guys aren't conditioned. I'm blaming it on that flat out. Like, everybody, you guys can try to prove me wrong. I don't believe you. I'm sorry. I really don't. Maybe this is the year that you trade, one of your good players, he brought up like Zeke, right? Just as an option for 2, other good players, but maybe not elite like a Zeke, right? You just build some depth, build some cushion into your lineup that it's going to score good, well enough most weeks to win. But especially if you get hit with another injury, you've got some guys there. You're not having to go after Dion Lewis. Like, I mean, let's be real. Nobody's happy to go after Dion Lewis in the waivers this week, but we had to. Like, some people had to. You weren't happy. Nobody really wanted Devonta Freeman, but you had to. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on how to deal with injuries. I don't know, Scott, what do you got any other advice with it?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I've noticed, and this is more from a DFS perspective, but I think you see this in offenses, is maybe looking to target some of the tools around the player who is injured. So you might not get a lot of running back value out of the New York Giants position. It's going to be a 3-headed monster. Who knows who's in at what time, and it's going to be a crapshoot. You're not going to value them as well. But maybe it bumps Slayton up a little bit because maybe he gets more targets because he is more familiar in the offense. So I think there's another kind of way to look at it is those weapons around that other weapon that kind of went down they normally get a bump. And so it's not a 1-for-1 replacement. We understand that now and kind of how the NFL works. Next man up is great, but oftentimes the next man up does not have the skill level that procured that person the number one role, and you have to split that into touches kind of being spread out. So I look for those players around him to get that bump.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where I was going with, you can kind of scour the waiver wire for that kind of hot, that next hot hand, like there's a couple of guys that are out there right now, like throw it out there, right? Like, so Christian McCaffrey, right, as out. Mike Davis is like the hot hand right now. Like he's going to get 3, 4, 5 maybe weeks of solid production, not CMC production, but solid production where, you're not going to totally die from that, but you could also just, there's always guys for like 2-3 weeks at a time are just awesome. And then they did disappear. So you've got to find me. You just have to, ride the waiver wire and just hope you find a couple of those guys. So I think you're spot on there with that. AJ, got anything else to add?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Davis and how he's, the guy for right now. And Carolina did the right thing by putting CMC on the IR. So we know he's out. All right. It's like we were talking earlier, Michael Thomas, he's just going to be this week to week thing. So I can't just shove him into an IR spot and I have to either drop somebody or try to trade or do neither and then just not be able to set a lineup. Thanks, Sleeper. Davis, though, I mean, he was awesome when he came in. He went 8 for 8 with receptions, 74 yards. I don't know if you're going to get that every week out of him, but
probably not. But
it's nice to see that there's production with these, retread players that have just been able to catch on now because the guy in front of him is injured. So we'll see what he can do, and Lewis and all of these guys. But I also agree with Scott. I like going after the guys that are going to be, on the periphery originally, and now they might be a little more in the spotlight.
AJ, sorry, Joe. AJ, one thing I did like what you said about Mike Davis, though, in particular. He's a little bit different than the New York situation. We're talking about the number 1 and 2 picks in fantasy going down. That's a big deal. I mean, that doesn't happen every single year. And I mean, especially second week of the season to have it both happen. And Michael Thomas is out. So you may the drafts that I were in, I was in. I did 50 of them. It normally
you and AJ both.
Yeah, it was close. It was right there.
Man. I like AJ. I'm probably in several leagues with him that we don't even know we're in the league. And then when we get the champions,
exactly,
we chop the pot. Then we'll be like, again. You DM me that money. I have one this time.
Exactly. We'll be that meme where they always put the little faces on people running. The 2 babies that are like, ah! And then a guy in the background's just like, yeah, that's my kid.
I love it. But I think that Mike Davis is that the game script for all of these games with him is going to be favorable because they stink. They stink. They give up so many yards per rush on the ground. It's above 5. They're not good. And so it makes them have to throw the ball 8 times in the fourth quarter, in a meaningless game, really. I mean, it sounds crazy. All of Carolina's games this year are meaningless in general in the NFL terms, but in terms of fantasy and DFS, they're rife. They're rife for the taking. There's going to be points scored.
They're the Jaguars from 4 years ago, dude.
Right. Yeah.
Remember how good Blake Bortles was?
Yeah. Trash Bortles.
And last year, Jameis Winston, who won me a championship, thank you very much. They were terrible, but I love it for fantasy.
Fantasy is a different beast. And so I like what you're saying, AJ, about Mike Davis, though, because it's not going to happen every week with 8 1/4, but they suck. They're going to have to throw the ball. And CMC is a great running back, but he's a product of a system that targets the running back because the quarterback doesn't throw down the field. I mean, it's really a simplistic way. If they were in an offense with a quarterback who threw the ball downfield like Carson Wentz, it would be different. It would look different. It just is. So, sorry.
No, that's fine, man. All great stuff. That's what the advice column's about, guys. So take that to heart. Do what you can. It's tough out there. And trading is probably the best way to make it up, but trading's hard, man. People just don't. People want to win their trades all the time, so it's really tough. All right, jumping in here to the weekly topics. We're going to do a little stock up, stock down. So, we got a couple weeks under our belt here. And, we're seeing trends, injuries aside. I tried to avoid those with this, but I picked some guys, quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. And start here with the quarterbacks with the stock up. I listed Gardner Minshew and Cam Newton. Now, I don't think Gardner Minshew is doing super hot tonight, unfortunately, but he's running a little bit. Got you one of those overs, Scott. But
I'm just annoyed. I specifically just got rid of everything to get my little stash back in full form for Gardner's big Thursday night debut.
It's your fault then,
for this week.
You jinxed him.
Or this season, I mean. Yeah, it is my fault. I picked him up in a couple leagues. Was happy I won the waiver and whatever.
But AJ, you look good though. I mean, so it's.
I know. I mean, I know that.
Personal level, like you're
at least there's that silver lining that is always present in my life is that I look good.
That's me too. That's me. Yeah, but see, we're different roads. But as an international plus size male model, been down that road.
I mean, we have seen your GQ spreads on Twitter, man. Never gonna live those down, by the way.
Those are anniversary pictures that were leaked. I don't know how those got out there.
There's no desire to ever want to live those down. And if Scott says that there is, it's just adding more fuel to yes. You love the pictures. Bring them on.
I need more attention, right?
Yeah. All right, so jumping into these guys, Gardner Minshew and Cam Newton. Unless somebody wants to say something about Gardner Minshew, I feel like Gardner Minshew just had a couple hot weeks, and honestly, I think he's just a streamable quarterback in my opinion. People are getting really excited about him, and I get picking him up to maybe take a flyer on him as a backup quarterback or something like that, and see if maybe it's gonna keep going. I think tonight's proving it might not. He's not doing terrible, but he just hasn't really been clicking a lot. Doesn't have DJ Shark, so maybe that's a big reason why. But Cam Newton's the big one, Scott. And I want to ask you this. I mean, the stats are crazy for him. He's on pace, which obviously isn't going to happen, but he's on pace for 32 rushing touchdowns and 8 receiving. or 8 throwing. What?
Find a way to get 8 receiving too. Just watch.
Yeah, he might do that.
They're gonna do some
that's not gonna work.
Philly specials to Edelman, former quarterback. Let him toss it in. It's going to be great.
He has run the ball 29 times already this year, or 20. Is it 26 or 29? I forget. I just talked about this last night on another podcast I was on. But I want to ask you, can this continue with him, or is he just an injury waiting to happen with all this rushing?
I want to say he can sustain this. One thing I noticed in that game at the end is he landed on his head. He landed on his neck. It looked terrible. It was not. I mean, I loved his performance. It was epic. It was one of the best Week 2 games I'd ever seen. And I just got done watching the Atlanta Falcons and the Dallas Cowboys game, which I thought was one of the best games I'd ever seen. And
I'm not a Cowboys fan, but that onside kick was amazing.
That was phenomenal.
Oh my gosh! And you're not a Cowboys fan either, AJ.
No, but
you
gotta watched that and loved every minute of it.
That was phenomenal.
Anyway. At one point, I'm watching. I don't know if it was Hayden Hurst who was behind one of the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm like, you know that it's about to go across the line. You can't start to get down when it crosses the line, genius. You need to lay down and block it from cross. Oh no! It did. Oh my gosh, your positioning was off. How did that happen? So it made me so upset, as a coach.
The hand seam's not the hand seam when you don't have your hands next to the ball.
You have a brains team. Move your body to the ball.
Hot potato.
I just wonder how many teams are going to try to copycat that. That's got to be the only way to get an onside kick.
It is the only way. They figured it out.
But who can spit it like that? That's utterly incredible. It really was, man.
Yeah. Practice it, and they're just.
But anyway, so Cam Newton, is his stock really up, or is this just a 2-week hot run here for him?
I think if he was on any other team but the Patriots, I would say, just maybe a little bit of a flash, maybe old Cam coming back, but he's got Belichick. And Belichick is a brilliant mind, and we do a segment on my pod that is called New England Baywatch. And so far, Cam has looked a lot better than Tom. And I feel like, Belichick has an upgrade. And it's a crazy story to kind of think, last year Tom Brady's not in New England, Cam Newton is in New England. It's weird, but it fits and it's working. And that was a bad play call. I don't like the design. They didn't put another body in front of him. They had a move tight end. They could have brought on the edge and whatever. It wasn't a great play call, but Cam did get his head hit. So I think he can sustain it. I do think he can. If he gets hit in the head again a couple more times, though, it could, I don't like that. That's not one thing
I am nervous with his injury history and the fact that he's so aggressive, and he's still being super aggressive right now running the ball. But AJ, you got anything else to add to that?
Yeah, just that I'm mad at myself for trading Cam when he was injured last year and then not playing on a team, and was happy, and then I got really sad. It was a super flex league.
You sound like it, man.
Your range of emotions on the show today has just been from extreme to extreme.
You sounded like Eeyore there, man. You were like,
I'm sorry that I am a multifaceted podcaster, Scott. I will try to just stay monotone the rest of the way. Zero emotion.
AJ, you're drunk, bro.
I'm not. I wish I was. I wish I could explain.
God, maybe you and I are, because we were basically pre-gaming for the show waiting for
awesomeness that this is.
Yeah, we've been here like an hour just drinking beers. This is
good.
This is number 3. I'm almost done. I've got number 4.
My dog's actually fine. I was just getting torn hammered before the show. And I needed an excuse. So
wouldn't be the first time. Anyway. All right, let's move it along.
Won't be the last.
Here. Running backs. So I put down Leonard Fournette, Joshua Kelley, and Gibson from the Washington football team. All 3 guys, interesting coming into the season. Fournette's stock was dropping like a rock. Kelley's stock was kind of rising near the very, very end. And Gibson, I think, shot way up. But then after week 1, everybody's like, well, wait, hold up. Maybe this isn't really his. Peyton Barber. No, guys, come on. But Gibson saw the lion's share of the touches last week. But who interests you most out of those 3 going forward, Scott?
Wow, that's a great question. I think there's in all of the situations that you see, there's potential. The problem I have with Gibson a little bit, and he has a lot of raw potential.
For Washington?
Yeah, for the Washington football team.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. And I think they've made some really good strides. And I've lived here in this area, in the Washington area, for 40 of my 41 years. And it's a new day, apparently, compared to old days. But they just don't have a lot of high-quality players on the offensive line, or their scheme really is kind of new, and they're trying to figure out. I don't have a lot of faith in Gibson. I think he'll pop game to game because he has skill and talent. He'll get in space. He'll get the ball. He'll make something of it. He'll bounce off a tackle. But I really like Joshua Kelley, and I think what I like about him is the steady attempts, and then also he's getting those green zone, or now red zone, green zone. We're changing the zones. I don't know. But when he's down at the goal line, he's in the game. Austin Eckler is not. I love that, and especially this week when he's going up against a team that has given up, I think it's multiple touchdown rushes. Dave Richards said this morning. 7 straight games from the Carolina Panthers. They've given up 2 touchdowns to opposing team. That's a great stat for him. He could have a 2-touchdown game tomorrow. So just on the kind of periphery, I really like him a lot. And because of that, I forgot who your third guy was. Fournette. He ascended, I think, quicker than, or maybe not as quick as we thought he would, but I think Ronald Jones is not the starting running back for that team. You don't sign Leonard Fournette to go, hey, this is Ronald Jones. Can you hold his jock for a little bit?
Not only that, they signed him to the veteran maximum that they could at that point. Like after the season starts, you can only do so much, right? So they gave him the max that they could to make sure that they got him. That was a telling sign to me.
Yes, they sold out. I think they want to win a Super Bowl right now. Which
of course. You mean Tom Brady's old and won't be around next year? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows?
Right. Yeah. So but I do like Leonard Fournette as well. I think that if his value's crazy, because I saw people draft him in the 4th round in some redrafts, and then in the 7th round. It was weird in kind of how it went down because he got traded and he got dropped and cut and released, and then it was a saga in the middle of drafting season. But I do like where he's landed, and I feel like he's got touchdown upside every week because Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to be getting the ball. They're going to be running down the field, and sometimes they get tackled in that green zone. So I do like both of those kind of better than Antonio Gibson going forward.
AJ, anything to add?
Yes, I like Fournette.
Okay,
let AJ go first next time.
Yeah, I
have him, and I was scared because of Scott Fishbowl. Not forced to take him. I took him over a couple guys who blew up last week that I don't want to talk about. But he blew up for my bench. So, that one too.
I like Fournette's arrow, but Joshua Kelley, I think, is a steady, safer player. You mentioned the attempts and the touches for Kelley. 12 the first week, and that was with Josh Jackson there as well for some of that game. I think Jackson's out of the picture at this point, even though he's injured. I think he's just out of the picture at this point. 23 last week. Granted, the average wasn't great, but the fact that you're giving him 23 touches, he saw more work than Eckler. Eckler was better, but Eckler saw more work. Joshua Kelley saw more work. That's crazy. So I think it's just I don't think he's going to take over for Eckler, but this is clearly like they believe in this guy and they're gonna use him a lot. So moving on to receivers here, guys that got listed down. I found kind of hard to find some stock up receivers that weren't just purely injury based, but the guys I looked at was Julian Edelman, basically because of Cam being able to find some guys being better than I think everybody thought. I was more of an Edelman believer than a lot of people coming into the season, so I was kind of happy to see it. John Brown, a lot of people were down on him big time because Diggs showed up and Josh Allen's accuracy is terrible, but Josh Allen's been utterly amazing the first couple of weeks, and so I want to hear your thoughts on that. And then Robby Anderson for Carolina. I mean, we're talking garbage for Carolina before, but Robby Anderson has gone over 100 yards both weeks. I mean, hello. Let's start here with, screw it. Robby Anderson. Scott, can he keep? 100 yards every week is not going to happen, but what can we really realistically expect from Robby Anderson? And is he just you got to go get him if he's out there type of thing?
Oh yeah, I think if he's out there, you definitely have to go get him. That's a given. I think he should have been picked up and he should be owned. I think he gets elevated to your flex position in your lineup every week. I think because of that game script we kind of talked about earlier, there is opportunity for him, and he has shown that he can separate when the ball is in the air. He's always one of those top 15, top 10 air yards guys. When the ball is in the air, he does maximize value. And what I saw in the first week was a guy who could shake a tackle after he caught the ball too. I like that.
Yeah.
There was a strength that in those processes that he was going through, he was not being stopped. And so I do like him this week, and I like him going forward. Curtis Samuel, crazy from last year, when Cam Newton was just so off. The year before, and in his kind of progression, you thought, okay, he's going to get a better quarterback. Well, he's not being targeted. He's not kind of involved as much as the other two receivers are. So he's kind of gone by the wayside, and a lot quicker than I thought. I was a Curtis Samuel kind of believer.
Yeah,
thought Robby
not alone
would be hard to catch on. So
yeah, definitely not alone there. AJ, I want to ask you about Julian Edelman. We talked just a second ago about how Cam's running a lot, but when he does pass, it's all going to the N'Keal Harry and Julian Edelman. Can we, is his stock really up, or was it just, one big game last week that's really doing it?
It's not even really one big game. Last week was definitely the bigger of the two, but this is his pattern right now. Him and Harry both are on the same typical Belichick. I'm going to put the entire team on the injury report so nobody knows who's really injured. But the two of them, they're not really practicing. They're dealing with these little ticky-tack injuries, getting hopefully healthier, which is scary because if they're the only two really getting the ball, you have no vision of a tight end getting anything here. The running game is Cam Newton. which even further clouds the Belichick running model. But Edelman, I mean, I definitely was off on him coming into the season, but the more I looked at it and the more we were talking about it, it was like, you know what? Who the hell else is he going to throw to? Or who's Stidham going to throw to? I mean, he needs somebody reliable.
Right.
And then Cam comes along and it's like, oh, okay, he's the guy. That
was Minshew just missing a wide open Chris Connolly. I mean, he was getting drilled, but he just overthrew him. I mean, nowhere near him for 10 yards. It was incredible. Oh, that was brutal. All right, and the last guy here.
Edelman's a guy.
So the last guy here is John Brown. I mean, Diggs is there, so people were a little off on him, Scott. But I mean, he's made plays. I mean, this passing offense has just been. Nobody predicted it to be this good. I mean, can this be sustained, and should we really believe in his stock being up right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that last week Diggs busted out. And, they were going to get him targets. I think he had 10 targets the first week. John Brown got the touchdown the first week, though. And I think that is going to be what happens. It's not we chase touchdowns. That's the whole fantasy game is about touchdowns. If you want to get down to it, yards are important. PPR, particularly, you get those targets and all those things matter. But you win your matchups when your guys score touchdowns. It's 6 points. That's a huge upside. So I feel like every week John Brown has that upside. I know in DFS I include him in some of my other lineups, not my Millie Maker necessarily, but he's always around because he's got great value as a wide receiver too. And this year I kind of put forth my wide receiver 2 theory that on these not Buffalo in particular, but in a lot of these offenses you have one-on-one matchups with the second cornerback. Oftentimes, or maybe the third cornerback because there's an injury on that second receiver, and John Brown is not going to be getting the best cornerback each week. Stephon Diggs is demanding it. He's demanding that. He's demanding a safety. So I love that. I love John Brown as somebody who he can get some of those little underneath targets and run with it and make yak after the catch, or he can go over the top too because he's got the speed, or a slant. We saw like a kind of a prolonged little slant and a go, and he went to the house. So I do love that. I think John Brown is a great person to kind of target and to have on your periphery.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I've been a big fan of his for a long time, so I'm glad to see him still doing well. And a guy playing tonight, Mike Gesicki, as tight end. He's the only stock up tight end I found. Like, tight end's been kind of chalk this year, I feel like. So, but Gaseki is a guy who sort of 50-50, depending on who you talk to. People loved him, people hated him. He's balling out, man. The first game wasn't pretty. This game's not awesome by any means, but he has scored on his only target, a 15-yard touchdown catch, so you're going to take it. But last week he just crushed it. I liked him after he balled out the last 4 or 5 weeks of last year. I was like, oh, he's arrived. He figured it out. Scott, what's your thoughts on Gaseki moving forward?
I think one of the criticisms for him is that he didn't have a lot of the yak we mentioned earlier. He kind of caught the ball and got tackled. I think that if you look at his performances in the past, he hasn't been thrown into opportunities to catch the ball and to kind of go with it. They've been more, in that linebacker safety zone where you're getting hit immediately when you get that ball. But he's been able to make the catch. He's been able to be there. We saw it last week, too, with that one-handed grab. When he is targeted in this offense, the end of last year and this year so far, he's been consistent in making those grabs. So he hasn't been targeted a bunch tonight, but they haven't needed it. They're up big, and so I understand that game script is going to be a little different. But he's somebody, when they're not dominating, and they're not going to dominate a lot, that he is going to get a lot of targets. And so I feel like he has potential to be, not just a top tight end, a top 10 tight end, but maybe even in that top 5-6 range this year, especially with the touchdown upside. We watched a play. We talked about it. He was, 5-6 inches taller than the DB, and he caught the ball.
He's a big dude.
It was just like little guy against big guy. Big guy got the ball, and so. Yeah, I do like Kaseki a lot as somebody who, if you have him, don't trade him away. Keep him on your team. He's going to get you value.
Yeah, I agree. I think we just move on here. Sorry, AJ, we got to move it along just a little bit. So if you want to run the stock down, go ahead, man.
Let's do it. I'll do this as Eeyore as possible with stock down. Quarterbacks. We have 3 guys here that are listed. One is Carson Wentz. One is Drew Brees. I can't. And the other is Big Tom Brady. I mean, I don't even want to start in on my hometown boy here. So Scott, pick one of the 3 and have at it.
Well, I'm going to tell you a sad tale. I have 2 of the 3 on one of my teams. It's 0-2, and I cut Carson Wentz, which is probably the dumbest thing I've done because he's probably going to go crazy. Tom has not looked great, unfortunately, and some of his overthrows out of bounds have made it into the stands, and we're not talking touchdown overthrows. We're talking 30 yards over the sideline on a simple little, wheel route that never developed. And you're like, what? So I'm a little worried about Tampa Tom right now. Not having both weapons in is kind of, it's going to delay you, of course. Scotty Miller's great. He's a little guy. You know what I mean? And he dropped a touchdown too. Yeah. So, and then LaShawn McCoy dropped a touchdown too. So maybe I'm overreacting and Tom's great, but I'm not sold on him yet. I haven't dropped him from my lineup, but he's not somebody I can start confidently this week. I'm definitely scouring my waiver wire going, oh, who do I picked up Tannehill. That's who I picked up.
Hey, I like it. I like that pickup, man. 3
touchdowns, and Tannehill passed for 112 yards, and I lose again. So, but I think
I have both Brady and Wentz in the Hunger Bowl that I jumped into, and I'm like,
you're hungry.
Come on. It's Super Flex League.
Ouch.
You know who my 3rd quarterback is? Big Dick Nick. Why?
Big Nick.
Because Big Dick Nick.
Should have
started.
He's
gotten me 0 points. I haven't started him, but shit, the other 2 aren't really that much ahead of him.
No.
Joe, which one do you like? Breeze?
Like or dislike?
I'm just, he's the only one we haven't talked about.
My dislike is Wentz, dude. I mean, I'm sorry, AJ. I know you're the big Philly fan, but I was all over Carson Wentz. I had him in 2 different leagues. I have since dropped him in both of those leagues.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, Scott, on that one. It sucks. The offensive line, there's no receivers. He's got Miles Sanders and me to throw to. Like, it's bad, dude.
Greg Ward.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. The tight ends are awesome.
Quarterback turned receiver.
But he just can't produce enough. He's gonna finish at this rate. Unless something changes drastically, which I'm not expecting, he's going to finish at this rate like QB 18 to 20.
Oh.
Like, this is not going to be good because he's talented enough to make some plays. His tight ends are talented enough to make some plays here and there, and then so is Sanders. So he's gonna have like a week or 2 where he's just gonna be awesome, like the first quarter and a half of the Washington game, where you're like, oh, okay, this is happening.
Quarter and a half, hey?
Yeah. And then it was just like, oh, wait a minute. We just need to run over the offensive line because they suck. That's the problem there. That's the biggest problem. I think Wentz is a slightly overrated player because of his MVP that got hurt season type of thing. That year he was going to be MVP. I think he's slightly overrated because of that season. But I don't think he's nearly this bad. I still think he's top 12, top 10 quarterback for fantasy with a team around him who can actually play football. And right now he just doesn't have.
He doesn't have that, so that's
right. So right now he doesn't have one. So it's unfortunate. Everybody gave him the benefit of the doubt because last year he finished really strong with nothing around him. Yeah. But it's gotten worse, which was shocking.
It is, and it's disappointing as an Eagles fan to see it. And it's like, okay, well, the first game...
You guys might get the first pick. What do you do?
We're not taking that from Carolina.
Take Lawrence?
I mean, we're not taking that from Carolina. Come on.
Do you take Lawrence? Hey, Carolina's been more competitive than you guys.
Can the Jets win 1 game this year?
It's going to be the Eagles, the Carolina Panthers, or the Jets at this point. That's the race. It's
not going to be the Eagles. They're gonna get hopes up, go on like a 2-game win streak, drop another 3, and then maybe win another 2 to 3 the rest of the year.
Still, let's just play. Let's have some fun here. If the Eagles take the first pick, do you trade it or do you take Trevor Lawrence? Because that's the guy.
You take Trevor Lawrence. You have to. Carson Wentz has been injured so many times, and
but they just drafted. They just wasted
him
a second-round pick on Jalen Hurts, and then you're going to go and draft Lawrence too.
The best player in college.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock Lawrence by any means. The guy is fantastic. I just think that they're not going to get it. But I don't know. That's a hard call for me. I would say get a fucking lineman that's not 36.
I think
and older or injured. The
best way to do it for you guys is probably trade down, grab some picks, get some linemen, figure things out. Because you got to get a lineman and some receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't keep going to the damn Amoroso's bread factory and picking up guys driving vans to go play in a fucking wide receiver role. Sorry, I'm cursing a lot tonight. Anyway, all right, running backs.
Drink it beforehand. Anyway, move on.
No, unfortunately not. Running backs. Stock down, we've got Kenyon Drake, we've got Mixon, and then we've got Bills. I mean,
the Bills.
Both of them.
Yes, both of them.
There's not much holler of dollar bills over there. It's just hollering at these crappy running backs.
Dollar bills. I like it, man.
Yeah.
That's what I have you here for, man.
I've got another one that's quite phenomenal, but I will save it for the rest of the show.
Okay.
Or later in the show, whichever comes last.
All right, Scott, jump on this, man. Who do you like? Or I guess, I just did the same things AJ just did to me. Who do you dislike more at this point? The Bills guys, Mixon, or Drake?
Oh man, that's. I actually love Drake. I love Drake to bounce back this week. I think that offense it's got a two-man game going right now in Arizona, but they're gonna bust out this week against Detroit, and it'll get a three-man game going. And so I like Drake. I'm not gonna, you
don't worry at all about. The one thing I worry about is the fact that he's not getting his, like, Edmonds is really cutting into his snap count, his touches. I mean, it's like a 63-33 right now, maybe slightly less, but you do have to worry about that a little bit. No, I sort of agree with you. Like, I still like him, but that is something that people are getting really worried about. He's like RB18 right now too. It's like, ugh.
Well, I think because he got drafted so high, I think all of these assessments of players are based on their draft capital.
Of course.
So, and that's kind of the lens we look through when we talk about anybody. But I think he has, definitely not regressed, but he's got a chance to, make that regression he's done the last couple weeks kind of, it evens out. I have a DFS tool I look at that kind of shows you the week-by-week breakdown of players. People go up and down. It's a normal flow of kind of the NFL, the game script, how the game unfolds, the level of defense, the competition, the injuries. I mean, last week Jordan Reed had 2 touchdowns. When was the last time that happened? 2015? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right. When was the last time he was healthy enough to do 2 touchdowns?
Oh my God! When he signed with the San Francisco 49ers, I said, "Please retire, Jordan." Like,
he needs to. He really does.
I don't want him to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt. But it does. The value of players fluctuates, but. I like Drake. The Bills scare me because here's why. They don't have a game script, it seems. It seems that they're throwing the ball a lot more than they had the previous time. And I understand why. I understand why. But they don't have their roles carved out yet, so we really don't know. And so I don't feel comfortable starting either of those backs. I'm not releasing either of them either. They're on my bench.
I'm not either.
They're on my bench, but I don't feel great. And one of them will pop, and you'll go, I should have known.
No, nobody should have known.
You should have known.
No, I get you, man. I'm right there with you on the Bills, and I've got Singletary in one league, Moss in 2. Because they were going kind of late, and I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll take a stab at this. Somebody's gonna pop out, but it just isn't. But I did not expect 42 passing attempts from Josh Allen, 35 at the first game, something like that. Whatever it is, it's crazy, and they've been strangely in close games, even though they're playing subpar opponents. So you gotta got to worry about that. Like, their defense is still okay, but like, why aren't these blowouts? And why aren't they just hammering the ball down their throats at this point? Because that's why you wanted Moss.
Right.
But that's why I worry about the Bills more, is because of that. So you're kind of right on there. So let's move on here to the wide receivers, AJ.
All right. We got A-Rob, Will Fuller, Gallup. Who do you like the least, Scott?
Well, here's the question, and I'm not up to date to the second, so maybe you have more injury information. What's going on with Will Fuller and his hamstring? How's that? Is it okay right now? Is it healthy? Because he looked great in week 1, and in week 2, looked like he's pulled a hammy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, is he back to pulling hammies? Is he okay? Because I've heard rumor that his hammy is still bothering him, and so I wanted to get the lay of the land from you. What have you heard about this?
I haven't heard much of the fact that he's absent from the week 3 injury report. So
Okay.
we have not. We're going to get to the injuries next. He is not on it because that's what they've said.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better about Will Fuller. So maybe I'm not just shedding him, but A-Rob, I mean, he was a second-round pick for some people, third-round pick for others. You know, I don't have any of him, but you know, I think that
Too much apparently.
Oh man, Mitchell Trubisky, I can't ever draft one of his.
I was banking on Foles just like AJ was in that league that he drafted Foles.
Yeah, I am too.
So that's what it was.
Foles is just a steady guy who's going to do what the coaches say.
Right.
He's going to say, what your first read is, this guy.
wanted.
Your second read is this guy, and then look for the dig on that, and then your out is, okay, good, hut, go. And Trubisky's looking around like, what am I doing? Who yet there? You know, and he played the Giants. Listen, if you come back against the Giants after you sucked against the Giants, what does that say? You know what I mean? Oh, sorry, not Giants. The Lions. The Lions. You sucked against the Lions, and he wasn't that great against the Giants either. But he came back in the first week against the Lions, and people were like, "Did you see Mr. Trubisky coming back? He's playing the Lions, and he was down by 20 points."
Our producer here is he's a big Bears fan, so
sorry.
The defense has been particularly bad the first 2 weeks. So yeah. Danny Trevathan, he's throwing shots. But it's all right. It's funny. Just hey,
so
Bears suck. I just say they're yeah. Anyway.
So the summary is Trevathan sucks, even though we're talking about receivers. Robinson is going to have his stock come up at some point.
Yes.
Like a big dick Nick, if he ever gets in the lineup, because he's a guy who does his job, according to Scott.
Love watching.
Okay, tight end.
Laugh his ass off. So yes, Allen Robinson. If I can say a couple words, Allen Robinson is clearly. I think his stock is going to go up. I have no idea what the hell's going on. He's like angry and disgruntled over there. Just, dude, suck it up, dude. Go play some freaking football. You actually dropped a touchdown pass the week after you complained. You're not allowed to complain anymore until you start catching touchdowns. Right. I want to talk about Gallup real quick, and I am actually seriously worried about Gallup because I was big on him. I wasn't big on CeeDee Lamb coming in. CeeDee Lamb has taken over for Gallup. It's over. Gallup has barely been targeted for the first couple of weeks. Cooper obviously gets all of his targets. He's not going to produce every week because that's what he does. But Lamb has just been phenomenal. Gallup has been a ghost. And it's been sad because I have Gallup in 3 leagues of the 8 that I'm in. Huh? A galloping ghost, says Jeff. Okay.
Call, Jeff.
Nice.
I like Jeff a lot, by the way.
I love it.
I met Jeff earlier. We were hanging out while you guys were gone, and he's cool as shit. I just want to say I had to cuss too. So
that's awesome, man.
So I'm not gonna lie to you. I have to jump in here. My team name on one of my team names. I trademarked this, hashtagged it. It's CD's TDs, and my guy CeeDee Lamb. I drafted him on every redraft team I could, and I love him, man. I
just didn't think that he was gonna be able to cut in. I was really off the rookie.
Player. Like you watch him play, and he does. If you watch him on Sunday, he doesn't look like he is a rookie. Like you see him.
I was just off the rookies this year because of the lack of camp, the lack of preseason. I just didn't want to risk it this year. I went after the guys who were there, especially with Gallup and Dak had that chemistry. I thought, Gallup was arguably better than Cooper last year until Gallup got hurt. Like, how could you deny that?
No.
And so I was all over it, and then it just disappeared. Like, that's so weird.
He'll come back. I would not give up on Gallup at all. He is going to thrive. That offense is just lit. Every week, there's going to be somebody who breaks out.
They've been in some shootouts already, which is kind of concerning that Gallup hasn't gotten a lot of work. But real quick, AJ, before you jump on, we've gotten somebody on YouTube, Blue Crew Chip, has asked us, he acquired Mike Davis off waivers. Should I use him as a trade piece? My running backs are Kamara, Drake, Gordon, Zach Moss, and Joshua Kelley. What decent players out there are worth him other than running back? I'm fine trading him. He's got. I would obviously target the CMC owner immediately.
Yes.
That's the guy. You go out to the CMC owner and see if he can give you if you need tight end, go get tight end. If you need quarterback, go get quarterback. I don't care at this point. Like, you've got studs. You've got guys at running back. You don't need running back. So I say just go get anybody. Does anybody disagree with me here?
No, I think you're spot on.
Yeah. AJ?
No.
All right.
You got to build the depth where you need it. So, speaking of tight ends, it's another Big Dick Nick reference. Ingram, Herndon, Hooper. Tight ends galore. None of them in Chicago. That's a shame.
Tight ends Chicago weren't good in the first place.
No, because they're known for their pizza and their Navy Pier. Okay, moving on. Ingram, Herndon, Hooper. Please. I think California. Come on. Smog. Whatever. Windy city. You blow smog all over the place. I will get a job. I will get a job at the Amoroso's Roll Factory, and then you know what? I'll be playing on the fucking Birds in 3 weeks. Boom. A picture back there, that's gonna be my picture. Sorry, B-Dog, I love you.
What is happening right now? I don't even know.
Are they gonna?
This show's gotten out of control, Scott. What is Scott?
I don't know. AJ has kind of been cussing a lot. I've noticed. I asked if we
sent me multiple emails that I have yet to check.
Yes. It's supposed to be like a couple times.
It's a family-friendly show, unless I'm actually here. So.
Well, I'll jump in and answer your question.
Please.
I think a bunch of those guys are hot garbage, not as players, not as people, but just in the role they have. The role isn't what it is. The New York Jets are a dumpster fire. Like, it's just straight dumpster fire. I'm going to wow you with an amazing stat. What was their over-under for wins at the beginning of this season? What do you think it was in Vegas? Vegas was betting on. Yeah, 6.5. So 7. I got it at 7 at DraftKings. Holy F. That's insane. Like, they're the worst. They might win a game or two, and that's just on their defense might fall on a fumble. They're terrible. I'm sure Herndon will butt fumble a few more times. I'm sure Herndon will rise from the ashes from what he's already been down. He hasn't been great so far. But that's a bad offense. I don't like them. And then Hooper, he's non-existent. And we already saw Harrison Bryant got a few targets, and he looked incredible. He can fly. So, I don't like Hooper either. That's just like a who's who of no.
Yeah, I hated Hooper as soon as he went to Cleveland. So I was off of him to begin with. I ranked him I think when all said was done, I think I put him at 15 in my draft rankings, which is too high at this point. But you kind of had to put him somewhere because you're like, dude, he was tight end 1 through the first 9 weeks last year. Like, you can't deny that.
Volume.
Yeah, pretty much, which is why we all love Hurst, right?
Right.
And that's kind of working out so far, at least the second week it did. Ingram concerns me. Like, he's just looked sluggish.
Yeah.
He just looked like his average catch is I think it's less than 9 yards or something like that right now. It's bad, dude. It's not good. So I'm like, seriously, if you have Ingram still, I get it. He's the name. He's been consistent. He's been good. He's talented. Go get these guys. Like, if you got some trash on your the backside of your bench here, go get the sample. Go get these guys. Go get these tight ends that are going to produce. Who'd you say?
Well, more like Cox.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Doyle.
While Doyle is out, and then the guy from I'm totally blanking on the name. The guy from Dallas.
Schultz.
Schultz. I mean, Schultz, Sample. These guys, like, go get them. Like, you don't want to start Ingram right now. He's just, especially this week against his friend. No. Goodbye.
Own a lot of Ingram and benching him this week. Benched him last week.
You have to.
It sounds like any of your games. You're benching. Your players are hurt. You're struggle busing. It sounds.
Are you starting an active team this week? You're just putting everybody on the bench like zeros are better than what they're gonna get me.
No. I mean, I'm starting an active team in the sense that I'm actively searching for starters. And it's going to take a team of people to help me find them because I don't have the time. So no.
Gotta figure it out, man. You joined 20 leagues. You gotta figure out how to manage 20 leagues. All right, this is why I don't do that. Let's jump into some injuries here. So we kind of newsy this segment of the show. We'll ask you guys a couple questions here while we're in it, but mostly just kind of rip through it. So Drew Lock, strained rotator cuff, out 2 to 6 weeks. That team's just in shambles. Tyrod. I know it's Tyrod. Shut up, Jeff. I don't agree. I don't agree. It is Tyrod.
It's Tyrod. It's totally
Screw all you.
Who the fuck is Tyrod?
It's actually how you pronounce his name. I just ignored it because we all said Tyrod. No, he even came out and said it.
Is that like a big trust thing? Did I miss something?
Literally, it is how he said you pronounce his name.
I'm an alumni.
He was on the Bills. He's like, oh, by the way, I'm Tyrod. I was like, what? We were all like, what? Anyway, all the Hokie fans were like, that's unreal. Anyway, not important. Tyrod Taylor collapsed lung. I'd be suing the hell out of those doctors on that team because they did.
Hey, everybody, you come in for the doctors? I'm right here. All right. Do you want the shot of injection stuff? Come over see Dr. Nick.
What's great, AJ, is I was thinking that I thought in my mind the GIF was in my mind, and then you started saying it, and it was
fantastic.
Reverse mind control. I'm good at something.
All right, I can't talk right now because that was too good. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jimmy G for the San Francisco 49ers.
What you did right there is phenomenational too, because you got Jimmy G space Q. That's his fucking nickname.
Okay.
Jimmy G.
I don't care enough. I'm not a 49ers fan, and I don't have a crush on him like you do, apparently. So Jimmy G, he's questionable with an ankle. He's probably more doubtful. Like, they pretty much already ruled him out. Mullins is going to start. So good luck, 49ers. You've already lost Nick Bosa, too, so that sucks. Running backs here, we got Saquon Barkley. Look, I want to bring this up to you, Scott. So Saquon Barkley's out. We obviously already mentioned that. We mentioned Deion Lewis, but Devonta Freeman signs there. I mean, are we any excited about Devonta Freeman, or what's going on there?
No, I'm not excited about him. I saw somebody overbid. They gave like 30% of their fab away on the waiver wire to get him in my league, and somebody else bid 20% of their waiver wire fab, the last dollars they had, to get Deion Lewis. And so I don't like that. I don't, unless there's an injury, and this sounds terrible. I don't like players until there's a single kind of market share. If you got a triple market share, I don't like it. And so maybe one of those guys emerges, but until we know, it takes repetitive data patterns for us to see what happens. That's what we, honestly, that's what we need. We need to see.
I spent a little bit on Freeman, a little bit on Lewis here and there. Like, it was just kind of whatever, but. My take on him is on Freeman is just, I mean, the Giants are bad. I mean, Saquon struggled. We really think Freeman and Lewis are going to do anything, especially when they're going to have to split carries? And Gallman's not going to be like just like a ghost. Like, he's not going to get inactives anymore. He's going to get active, and so he's going to be involved. And so, like, this backfield is just crazy. I took a shot where, like, I didn't have to spend a lot of money, but it was just kind of one of those, like, fine, I'll take a chance. Like, I'll drop Chris Thompson for Dion Lewis because obviously Chris Thompson's not doing anything. So, well, what am I losing at this point? I'll go pick up the next guy next week. So, obviously CMC out. We've already talked about Mike Davis. He's obviously the hot waiver ad, and I think he should have been easily. Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert. They're both questionable at this point, but it's kind of weird. Like, Coleman, I think, is out. I mean, like, you've already kind of said he's out multiple weeks. Raheem Mostert's probably out 2 to 4 weeks, in my opinion. So, AJ, how much are we, like, we were already, both you and I were already excited about McKinnon as, you know, coming into the season already, especially given his late draft value. We both took him in multiple leagues. But now that he's got this opportunity, like, how much are you just all in on McKinnon, at least for a couple of weeks?
Until he falls off his bicycle riding to practice and strains his clavicle, which will be tomorrow, by the way.
Can we mute AJ tonight? Because it's
Jeff
bad.
Wilson. Jeff Wilson all the way.
God.
No, you cannot mute me. You can only hope to try to contain me.
You know, AJ, I gotta be honest with you. I thought I came in like totally, you know, team Bond, Joe Bond. But you know, I've been steadily like moving over to your side, and
my gosh,
I know, Joe. I'm sorry. It's just,
get that needle going.
What I like though, AJ, about it is
he's everywhere.
I think that he's going to get the goal line carries. He knows that offense well. He's a bigger back. He's a more broad back. He's somebody who you can pound. And this is the thing, man. You watch games and you're like, how does Carlos Hyde have a job? How does Frank Gore have a job? Because they can get in there in that, you know, not even the next level, but like that first level, and just push the pile for 4 yards, and then you go gross. But if he gets a touchdown, you go, oh, okay. So I don't love any of the backs right now. I think well, actually, I like McKinnon better as a PPR guy. I like McKinnon better, but you know, I think Wilson's the guy who has the more goal line, you know, potential. But I did get McKinnon in the Scott Fish Bowl in like the 28 millionth round. So you know,
exactly what I did.
I'm loving it. Yeah,
might save my season. All right, so Zach Moss, we've talked about the Buffalo Bills before, but Zach Moss is questionable with the toe. So if he's out, then we've got Singletary rising way up. I don't think anybody disagrees with me there. Philip Lindsay's questionable again with a toe. Josh Jacobs questionable with a hip, but he usually plays through this. Got to ask you, Scott, real quick, because we are long already on this show. So Akers and Brown, pretty questionable to play. Darrell Henderson, I mean, this is automatic, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, he is somebody who a couple weeks ago was just left for, you know, injured coming into the season, kind of left for I'm not gonna say for dead, because, you know, I don't want to, you know, but just kind of, I mean, he was drafted in the 16th round in my home league. And I think if he is going to get 20 carries, you know, or maybe 15 carries and 5 to 8 targets, I mean, that's an RB2. That's a flex. I mean, that's somebody who you're going to have to start. And in a game where you said earlier that Buffalo hasn't played as great, you know, and that's the truth. They haven't played as great. So I think that there's a potential for some points in that game, and we'll see how that works out for them. I don't dislike that at all. Henderson, somebody who I went after in several leagues and I didn't get him. And then I tweeted out, if you wanted to go check out @Nimble W numbers on Twitter, a cat attacking other cats that were plushie toys that looked just like him when he didn't get his waiver wire pick. It was vicious.
Jeez.
And that's exactly how I kind of felt when I woke up when I didn't get Henderson in I didn't get him in Scott Fish. I wanted him in Scott Fish. He was there in Scott Fish. So yeah, I do think he's somebody this week who pops.
All right. So let's move into some wide receiver action here. Try to rip through these here. All right, Crowder, hammy, doubtful. Brashard Perryman, high ankle sprain, 2 to 4 weeks. Julio, questionable, hamstring. Sterling, Shepard, turf toe, IR, 2 to 4 weeks. Debo, IR, foot, targeting week 4. Devontae, questionable, hamstring. Campbell, Paris, sprained PCL, MCL, IR, 3 to 6 weeks. Jalen Rieger, torn UCL in thumb. Too busy sticking it up somebody's butt because he's not catching an effing ball.
That's not quick, man. You had
IR, 2 to 3 weeks. Harry Nettleman, I already mentioned them. Questionable ankle and knee. Ankle, knee. I thought it was shoulder for Harry. Could be wrong. Cortland
That's
Sutton.
what I read. Sorry, I wrote it down.
Oh, you're illiterate. That's fine. Cortland Sutton,
Wow.
ACL, IR, out for season. See you. It is no longer Sutton SZN. Bye-bye. Christian Kirk, questionable groin. Go talk to Big Dick Nick. Juju, questionable knee. AJ Brown, questionable knee. Last two I've got here, and this is a question from a coworker of mine. Ruggs is now downgraded to limited activity. He did play Monday. Had a pretty decent game, I believe. And then you've got.
No, he didn't.
I know. I meant week 1. Week 1, people had good weeks. Week 2, not so much. So yes, he is downgraded right now. And then Jerry Jeudy is also on this list, dealing with a rib injury. So, Joe and Scott, I ask the two of you, which one of these receivers would you prefer to go with in a flex spot this week? And it may be an easier answer now that Ruggs has been downgraded, but the floor is yours.
What's that? So Ruggs, who and who?
Ruggs or Jeudy?
Ruggs or Jeudy? I just read that Judy's dealing with an injury too, but I think it's got to be Jeudy now that Ruggs
literally just said he's dealing with a rib injury.
Yeah, but I
So you can't read.
I was
can't listen.
barely listening to you. I'm not
what can you do?
The news.
You said rip through. Did you one?
Well,
Solid.
I didn't know you were going to ask me a question afterwards. Damn you!
I did ask a question.
You gotta tell me these things. No, I mean now that Ruggs has been downgraded, I think it's got to be Jeudy. I mean, you know, without Cortland Sutton, Ruggs is already dealing with Waller, who's going to get 17 targets and fucking crush me on a Monday night when I had him versus Jacobs in a 10-point lead and lost. So that sucked. So he's dealing with Waller. He's dealing with Jacobs. He's dealing with Bryan Edwards. Dealing with Aguilar, who just seemed to figure out how to catch a football again. So yeah, it's Jeudy all the way.
I agree. And can we just pivot back to hobbled Julio for a second? I mean, holy
right.
Hell.
I was trying to say something and you cut me off.
Holy shit. I mean, that guy might not play football this week. That's not great for the whole Atlanta Falcons. I feel like going into Chicago, not that they were going to run all over them, but it's a kind of comeback. It's a down, Calvin Ridley, number 1 wide receiver. I love that. But yeah, man, wow, that's crazy. And then also Bum Thumb, AJ going crazy there. We can't overlook the Bum Thumb reference either. I mean, geez, man, you're hot. You're coming in hot, man. I'm excited to be here. You're just on fire tonight, and me and Joe are just kind of along for the ride. So,
Well, it's usually the other way around. So I'm glad to finally be pulling my own weight.
Sorry, Joe. Sorry.
He doesn't need it. Just trust me on this one. Jesus.
You have unleashed something unruly.
Yeah, well, Jeff looks unnerved, so if that's happening.
It's bad. All right, let's get to our picks of the week, man. So we give our well, we
need tight ends. Hold on, I didn't rip through them yet.
Oh, I thought you did this, man. God, aren't you done?
I asked a fucking question because you get mad when I don't ask questions, and then you get mad when I ask questions.
I do.
So here's a question: which is it, Joe? Which is it going to be?
Hey, man.
Finish.
CJ Uzuma, Achilles, IR out for season. Harry Henry Hunter, Hunter Henry, questionable with an ankle. and apparently an ingrown hair. Kittle, questionable with the knee. Darren Waller, your boy, questionable with the knee. Okay. Nobody cares about that. Let's move it on.
Last week. Anyway.
Week 3 picks.
Right. Yes, weekly picks. So, Scott, before the show, I kind of alluded to this, but what we do is we give our sleeper quarterback, running backs, receiver, and then we do what the hell happened to my Google chart? I have moved on to a different show. Let me go back to the one I was on.
Fucking guy.
I don't know what the hell happened. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, you're the one that's late. I'm the one who's fucking it up later. All right, so let's see here. So quarterbacks, we do sleepers. Anybody rated higher than 15 according to Fantasy Pros ECR rankings currently. So who you got?
So is this somebody who I think is going to pop or somebody who I think is going to not?
So this would be the sleeper. So somebody who's going to be better than 15. Somebody who's going to pop, right?
Someone in that range.
Greater than 15 range who's going to pop.
It's tricky because down there you're dealing with a lot of the Trubiskys, the Drew Breeses of the world these days. It's slim pickings. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I do think just on volume though, and this is just from my perspective, Joe Burrow has an opportunity I think this week in a game that I think is going to score more points than you think, and I think that he does have a little bit of a chance to throw the ball around. You've seen it the last couple of weeks too. The Philly team's not great. They're not great.
No.
So I think that's a sleepy pick that most people aren't going to be on. I think the easier pick is Tom Brady against Denver, but I do think Burrow's just going to get volume. They're going to throw the ball a bunch, and to go back to what AJ said earlier about running backs, I don't like Joe Mixon. I don't. He's not somebody. I think he's going to get a lot of runs this week. They got to throw the ball, and there's a little bit of upside there in Cincinnati offense this week. So.
Yeah, I think you just stole AJ's pick, so we'll skip you, AJ, because I think pretty much we're going to say because you said Burrow because of Philly. So,
going Mitch.
On there. I liked it. I did pick Tannehill. I think Tannehill's a great pick here. Minnesota's D has been thrashed the last couple of weeks. It's pretty shocking. They were so good 2 years ago. Last year they were still pretty solid, but this year they suck. I don't know what else to say. Tannehill has been passing the ball a lot more than we thought, which killed me in DFS last week. I took Derrick Henry and should have taken Aaron Jones. That was my coin flip, and I lost because of it. So Tannehill is my boy here. So running back sleepers, somebody higher ranked than 24. Who you guys got?
Man, there's not a lot of great.
No, there's not.
Great guys. I mean, Joshua Kelley's on that edge at 25. So, I kind of like that touchdown potential for him. Devin Singletary is a guy at 26, and we're looking at the ECR on Fantasy Pros for the half-point PPR. I want to clarify that for friends. And so it's kind of right on the edge there. If Moss is out, I do like Singletary. McKinnon's on the edge there too. But, Darrell Henderson, he sneaks in at 31st. So, he's somebody who has potential to finish inside the top 24 this week, I think. So I'm going to go with Henderson out of that group of guys. Intriguing people, but not as a consistent volume. We don't know what the snap share is going to be and what the attempts are going to be for all of those backs. But I think with Henderson, we have a better picture.
Yeah. If it weren't for if it wasn't just the injury reason is why I didn't pick Henderson, but Henderson would have been mine too. But AJ, you want to say a couple words because he did steal yours again.
My words were Burrow ellipsis because ellipsis Philly, and my next word was Henderson. So no, I think it's covered.
Okay. Hey, I like AJ.
I think we got it.
I just gotta say, I think there's kind of synergy here. Unintentional,
hey, he's grown the beards before. I grow I do the stubble and shave it down.
No.
I like to keep it a little cleaner.
I will have to.
You guys are on the same wavelengths here.
A picture of probably my bulkiest beard ever.
Oh my gosh!
I've got a couple good ones there. I'll tweet them to you.
You got to put them out. You got to put them out on Twitter with the show. So, Joshua Kelley was mine. Like you said, I right on the cups, and I hate doing that. Like I hate picking the guy like right after the 25, right, or 24. But he's got 23 carries last week. You can't deny that. The workload's there, and the matchup is there this week. It's inevitable. I think he's just gonna score.
Yeah.
So, receivers, anybody greater than 36?
Yep. Who'd I get?
Yeah, let's see who's got. Scott.
Wow. Corey Davis is at 37, and so you talked about Tannehill earlier. Jonnu Smith is questionable. I haven't heard the latest updates. Maybe he got limited work in today. I don't know. But I think Corey Davis so far with A.J. Brown out and that situation he's got a bone bruise on his knee. That's not great. You need your knee to run.
Not going away.
No.
He's going to miss this week.
Yeah, that's not great. So I really like, and like you said, picking the guy who's like one away, kind of shitty. But I think Corey Davis, he should be ranked inside the top 30 this week. It's just one of those clerical oversights. And then, if you want to drop down kind of looking for more of a value, I don't want to steal anybody else's, but at 46, Russell Gage, goodness gracious, have we not had enough volume of Russell Gage to go? Right. If Julio's out, that guy is a top 24 wide receiver this week. So those are my two guys. I'm going to target them in DFS, and I have Russell Gage in a lot of leagues and in Dynasty. He's going to be definitely elevated to my team. So,
okay, well, I'll talk since I haven't had a chance yet. I went with number 47. So thank you for one-upping and not taking my guy, Mr. Alan Lazard. We have to assume that Lattimore is going to be on Devontae. Not that it probably matters because Devontae is ridiculous, but I feel like Lazard could get his another matchup of two bona fide future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So I like Lazard to get some yards, some yards.
Yeah, so mine's N'Keal Harry. I was actually surprised to see him outside of the top 36. We talked about how Cam's has been targeting him heavily. It's like 6 and 9 targets both weeks so far. So I like him that, if he can keep getting that target share, I think he'll finally just fall into the end zone one of these days. Cam won't steal all of them. So I like Harry a lot. So moving on here to
you said 32 rushing touchdowns, right? That's the pace.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's on pace for 32 rushing touchdowns.
Over under.
Yeah. If that becomes an over under, I'm all in, man.
Right.
So that's my kind of bet. Not a big better. So bust here. So let's start with quarterbacks. Anybody inside the top 12, Scott? What you got?
Well, I hinted at it earlier. I do like Russell Gage as a kind of up play. I'm a little concerned about Matt Ryan this week going into Chicago. It's on grass, which maybe that doesn't make a huge difference, but it's just a little bit different. I know the Bears haven't been great on their defense, and then they have been stiffer in the past. But this just, to me, I don't know if they can sustain that with Julio out. I think what works well is having all your weapons, and I don't know if Julio's going to be out, but that's something to monitor. If Julio is out, I think that.
What if he's like just a decoy? He's done it before.
He has been, and that's what makes me concerned about him if he's not on the field. If he is on the field, he can be that decoy. But if he's not, that kind of just shifts the whole coverage scheme, and it makes it, you're going to run the ball a lot with Todd Gurley. It just kind of just changes the air it out mentality. I think you need Julio in that three-ring circus in a way, and with Hurst in there makes it kind of a little group of four. But yeah, so that's something to monitor, and if he does play, then maybe I'm kind of not worrying about that as much. And if the band's back together, then we're okay. The Patrick Mahomes Baltimore Ravens game, honestly, that's one a little closer to the top 5. that gives me a little bit of a concern. I don't know what that game's going to look like. I don't know if it shoots or if it's a defensive kind of struggle.
I know. I thought about that game too. I literally thought about taking Lamar because he's ranked number 1, and I was like, I can't do that. It's just a tough one.
It's going to be a tough one. I think that we don't know
because he wasn't good against Kansas City last year. So
no,
I mean, we'll see. But all right, AJ, what you got?
Well, speaking of those two phenomenal 1 and 2 quarterbacks, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, my guy for this week is Mr. Big Ben Roethlisberger, because this is the first quarterback that Houston will see that's not named Mahomes or Jackson. So, the nice thing for Houston is they've gotten better as the weeks have gone on. They gave up, and this is according to the Yahoo thing that we use that you put in the agenda for whatever the other picks were. Mm-hmm. They've given up 26.44 points to Mahomes and then only 19.56 to Lamar. So I'm smelling maybe like a 14 to 16 in range for Big Ben. I don't know. I mean, you gotta have high hopes in life, right?
Yeah.
Held both of those guys to under 215 yards. Lamar only had 1 touchdown.
He ran a lot,
though. I know, but Big Ben's not running anywhere.
No.
Unless it's to an emergency room to fix another busted up nose or something. So I think that this matchup is not going to be, great for him. I just think this could be a game where they look to try to just run the ball and stuff it down Houston's throat that way. I don't think he's going to be throwing a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah, so mine here is on the opposite side of that field there, and it's going to be Deshaun Watson. I mean, it's easy. Steelers D. Did you see what they've done to teams so far? That front seven is nasty. So I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be Deshaun Watson-like, and honestly, Deshaun Watson hasn't been Deshaun Watson-like so far, so it's going to get even worse this week.
So wait, if he hasn't been Watson-like, has he not taken a bunch of sacks? I mean, isn't that kind of the argument with the front?
But even if he takes sacks, he scores a lot of fantasy points because he can.
I'm just slowing the show down.
I know. Anyway,
okay, running backs.
Running backs. Scott, anybody less than 20?
No, there's a few different people. Joe Mixon jumps out to me as somebody who I'm not in love with necessarily. I just don't love Joe Mixon. I never have, never will. I don't have any shares. I'm out. I'm sorry. That offense is not a high-tuned machine that can kind of operate between passing and running and trick you. You kind of know when Joe Mixon's getting the ball, and you can kind of stop him. And the other two plays are trying to throw the ball. So,
sure.
Yeah.
AJ?
I'm gonna go with CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, I think this is going to be a very tough game. This is what most people felt like the AFC Championship should have been last year. Tennessee decided to fuck that up. Sorry, another one. Sorry, just censor me, Jeff. I don't know how we can make that work. I mean, you'd probably just have to have a running beep across my face.
Yes, I would love it.
We're gonna get a catheter soon.
I know.
But
by the way, we gotta go, AJ. Stop talking.
DEH, move on.
Yes. So mine's David Johnson. Same theme. Pittsburgh. They shut down Saquon. Move on. Wide receiver. Anybody earlier than 24? Scott.
I mean, I don't want to jump out there too far, but Robert Woods this week, he's got a tough matchup. And
got me.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Like we can go to the bathroom sooner.
Right. I was gonna say I've had 2 pints. I'm done, man.
Right.
Dude.
I've had like 4.
Oh, now I get the catheter reference.
Oh, thank you.
A little slow in the uptake with that one.
Right. Well, what had happened, officers, is no, I just
everybody ordered the catheter.
Did you get it, meow?
Yeah, Tre'Davious White is a beast, and He's only giving up 4.4 fantasy points per game. So Robert Woods, he's going to be higher than that. I think he'll be 11, 12, but he's not somebody who's going to be 14, 15, 18, I don't think.
This is Cooper Kupp day, by the way, because
Right.
they've been giving up a lot to the slot. So Cooper Kupp and Higbee eat.
Big Dick Nick reference.
Go, AJ.
I said Big Dick Nick reference.
Let's go, please.
There, done. Over. Move.
All right. Tight end streamer. Scott, rapid fire.
All right, we're wrapping up. I appreciate you sending me the list in your league, and so I'm going Jordan Reed. He's available. I'm going Jordan Reed. He won me $5,000 last week, and I'm gonna go with him. So
yeah, worried if Kittle plays.
I don't think Kittle's playing.
Questionable. He's not playing.
He's on the wrong side of questionable at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'm going Jordan Reed, and I'm gonna win me some more money this weekend with him.
Sure. AJ, who you got?
Going Hokies, baby. Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas. That was my pick last
Cleveland
week.
blows against the tight end.
I gave it to you this week. So mine's Drew Sample. 8 targets after Uzma left last week. Can't deny that, man. I know they were in catch-up mode, but come on, that's got to tell you something. So defenses, Scott, who's your defensive stream this week?
I like Cleveland against the Washington football team just because they're not that great, and their front can kind of dominate. I think the Washington front five. So that's my little jump in there.
AJ,
I am going with the Arizona Cardinals. Detroit, no block city. I don't know. Zona's got 7 sacks on the season so far. Detroit just gave up 4 sacks alone to Green Bay, plus another one the week before. They're a turnover-prone offense. If Galladay's not in, which he probably won't be, because, again, I own a lot of him. So, yeah, that makes sense.
You got my curse this year, buddy. Sorry, dude. We shared a couple teams together, and you got my curse. That's me.
Thanks for that.
So Washington football team is my defense. I know Cleveland looked a little better last week, but they're playing Cincy. That's not anything to write home about. Washington's not a great team, but that front seven, as we mentioned before, is absolutely incredible. It's strength on strength. This Cleveland, they like to run the ball, pass. They like to block and run, right? So front seven versus front five, or whatever you want to call it. And so, but I just feel like that front seven can get enough pressure on Mayfield to, when Mayfield gets rattled, he makes a lot of mistakes. And he doesn't throw accurately. OBJ is going to have problems. And so I just don't feel like you really want much to do with this Cleveland offense. Obviously you're starting Chubb and Hunt. Sorry, I said Hyde. I don't know why. But Hunt, because you can't
hide your kids,
sit
hide
them.
your wife.
But
hide your Chubb.
But yeah.
Not if you're Big Dick Nick. It's impossible.
I mean, apparently we're just talking AJ here. So.
Are you a fan?
Anyway, it's Washington, so we're
Big
done
Mouth,
there.
by the way?
All right, so we've got a little long. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us tonight.
All right,
Scott, let everybody know where they can find you on Twitter and whatnot.
No, I appreciate that, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been a blast. I love you guys. You can go long anytime. Another Big Nick reference right there.
Oh man!
Find me at Nimble W numbers. It's implicit, and Joe's smart. He called me Nimble with numbers. It's Nimble with numbers, folks, but it's implicit. Nimble at Nimble W numbers on Twitter, and then NimbleWnumbers.com and thefantasymillionaires.com. I've got 17 podcasts. They're all over the place. Just hit me up on Twitter. I'll tell you where they are. You can subscribe if you like the DFS world. I'm in that as well. We're all over the place. So thank you for inviting me on. And I got to run to the bathroom because
absolutely,
it's insane in the membrane. I've drank 4 beers, and I'm old. So
all right, man. Well,
love you guys.
Thank you for hanging out, man. It was a good time. I had a blast. So
peace.
That's all we've got. So AJ, thanks for hanging out with us again tonight, man. Glad you could come back. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean,
thanks
I feel
for having me. I mean, it's cool to be a guest as instead of a co-host. I guess
it feels like you're a guest right now. But anyway, it's okay. I'm just totally shitting with you, man. I've had a double and a triple, so whatever. It's been a good night. So anyway, That's all we got for the show.
Miami's
gonna rock Jacksonville. Is this game over? 31-13.
Yep.
It is over. Fitzpatrick threw for 160 yards and 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Gardner Minshew was 275 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception. So, yeeks.
Great.
We're doing a thing on Fantasy Six Pack where we're trying to pick like Thrive Fantasy, prop bets. I think we got smashed because I don't think any of those hit. So that sucks. I said I didn't like this game. I just thought it was gonna be a weird one. Regardless, I was like, no. I didn't like it, but nobody went with me. So I think we lost money again. Awesome. That's why I don't like betting. Anyway.
You'll like it a lot more if you make better picks and actually win money.
Hey, I told everybody not to bet. They bet, Jeff. No, this is on you, Jeff. Wrap it up.
Anyway.
It's on you, Jeff. I'm blaming you. You're the one that told Keith to bet. Anyway.
Yet another Big Dick reference? I don't know.
Anyway. I'm out.
Wrap it up.
All right, everybody.
Send it.
See
Send it. Full send. Cheers.